Hey everyone, it is the Thursday midweek 3 o'clock or 3 p.m. live stream, and coming you from rainy Georgia. It's been raining, I guess, since last night, and I'm not sure what the forecast is, but it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. I see that we have Am checking in. Good afternoon. Karsten checking in. Good afternoon to you. And Jerry Towler checking in from Middle Tennessee, where it's also raining. Okay. Jeff Reynolds, you're late, but not by much. Pretty close. Pretty close, I would say. So anyway, it's rainy here, and it's just kind of one of those, I don't know, adds to the effect of everything going on in the world, I guess. Have the rain coming down, and just let us know that, hey, wait, there's more. But yeah, let's see. We got Truck One LT checking in, and we got Carson. Good evening, Carson. So anyway, I got the video out for painting the doors, the inside of the doors, and I also did that startup on the Jade Mustang, which I must admit that felt really good. That felt really good. Fire that thing up and just rev it up a little bit and let it resonate in the shop, and it just felt really good. And it's sometimes it's stuff like that you need to do, in effect, to kind of get inspired again, or get motivated, and think about what you want to do down the road. So it felt really good to fire that up. Now, I've been thinking about some other things with that car because, I did paint the door trim, and I have to dig out. I don't know where they're at because I've had that car for so long. I have to dig out the trim panels that go in the back passenger area in the rear, going alongside the seat. So I have to find those, maybe try to get those in paint, and then of course got to strip out the dash, get it all cleaned up. And there's some decisions I have to make on the dash as well, but that's going to come. That'll come later. Steve from Footage Factory checking in. Glad you're here. But Chris C. Yeah, Jade is looking good. I'm really excited about it. But like I was saying, if I get those trim panels in the back taken care of, I already have a headliner for the car, by the way. That's been in a box forever. So I don't know what shape it's in, and it's never been opened. So actually, I do think it's been opened. It came with the car, I believe, and I have carpet for it as well. But there's some things I want to decide on. I've been looking at if you've seen Call of George, the '68 turbo-powered Mustang he's building, painting it. It's like epoxy black. It's like flat, hot rod black. But he's got some really cool stuff going on. He's gone over the top with that in just what. It's not going to be like, maybe he will use it as a daily driver, but that car is pretty well done, as the mechanics and all those sort of things. But he put in the back glass, which we talked about last week with Jerry, or on Monday with Jerry, and I just love the dash he has in that car. So on his '68, he's got the original style dash, but he's got I don't know what the variances were. I think there was a wood grain pattern, and I don't know what the trim options were, but he put in the silver brushed finish all the way across. I really like the way that looks. So I may have to look into that, see if it's something I can pull off. The console that I have for Jade is probably not in the best of shape, which is not uncommon. I wouldn't mind having a more modern console, something with like cup holders and stuff like that. So I haven't decided on that option yet. And I think, but I'm not 100% sure, that the dash may have already been cut for a radio. Now, I like to have the original look and the original shape, but I'm not against putting in a radio, especially since the dash I think it's already been cut. If it's already been cut, that kind of makes it easier to make that decision, that I could put in a new style radio. Again, there's people on both sides of that, but if it's already cut, it may not make that much of a difference. Let's see. Jeff Reynolds, I'm late. I'm still, oh, because I'm still on the road. Well, I assume you're picking up your wife from the hospital, from work, I assume. And then you have to come home and cook. That's usually the schedule, right? So we have a bunch of letters. Hello from Canada. Love your channel. I can't say that. I can't say those letters. So I don't know what all that means, but thank you. I'm glad you're here. I'll give you a bell because I haven't seen that name before, so you get a bell for that. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee. It's time. But otherwise, as I'm trying to get stuff done with both cars, I think I may try to do a video on, again, spraying in that Eastwood frame treatment paint. Talked about that on Monday, I believe. And I think from the comments, it was concern with the cleaning out the tube. You don't think about that very often. How do you do that? Because it's a pressurized system. And unless, I may have to look into it a little bit harder. Maybe I think somebody said it was something from Eastwood that was a cleaner that you could put through it. And I didn't really think about that very much till right about now. But I had other thoughts in that maybe I could come up with a syringe type of thing where I could put in some lacquer thinner or something and just squeeze it through, try to clean out that tube and make it, make it usable, because if you dry that stuff in there, it's probably going to be no good ever again. So, yep, Jeff is picking up his wife and he's going to come home and cook. Good. Chris C., the 70 Mustang out of rocker I asked about today is not good at all. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I've been seeing that as well. There was another repair that I saw on a Facebook page, and it was the frame rail repair, which I had done before on the 65 Mustang, the light blue one, years ago, where I sectioned in the repair pieces, and they fit perfect. They were the right dimension. But somebody had commented or posted some pictures where it was like a 1/4 inch taller for some reason. I don't know where they're getting these measurements from. How are they getting that far off as they're doing these things? Because they have to have something to start with. If you consider if the early production of these parts was correct, even the early reproductions were correct, what happened over that time? Now, you can consider that the dies wear out, become, in essence, smaller, not bigger. But that doesn't make sense whenever the rocker panel is too big or this frame rail patch is too big. Doesn't make sense. And I don't know what the deal is. I don't understand how they're getting this stuff that far off, because a 1/4 inch on a frame repair or a rocker panel, that's a big difference. It's really hard to make that up. That's a really big difference. Rick Stevenson checking in. Glad you're here. But anyway, as I was saying with Jade, I'm going to try to get more things done with it. I want to be able to, like I said, get it out of the paint booth. Now, whether that means I get it fully painted or not, I don't know. There's just a few things left, or oddball things that I can do on the Brooklyn Pony, which I will talk about here in just a minute. Something I will be addressing as far as maybe a future video on that car, along with the Eastwood frame spray that I'll be working towards. So let me see what I've got here. Jeff, Barry, attention to my spouse's duties is imminent. I did see your startup. I also saw the door painting I didn't get to write. Okay, well, I'm glad you saw that. I'll give you a bell for watching it. Let's see, Chris. That's why we watch you to learn how to fix these problems. Well, I don't know. I mean, thank you for that. But it's really tough to try to overcome something that's too big. I mean, it's just really difficult. Let's see, Truck. Thanks for the advice and videos on my bipolar issues. Still haven't decided what route I'm taking with it yet. Okay, so that was you. We conversed earlier today with your fastback, I assume. Hopefully, there's some easier resolution, because like I said, I've never seen that kind of rust in that location before. That's just crazy. I don't understand how it rusted up like that, but hopefully, there's some sort of solution, because it's hard to find a donor, even donor pieces for the inner structure for any car. Usually when a car is trashed, it's wrecked or whatever, it gets scrapped, and nobody thinks about saving, an inner cross brace that went under the roof somewhere. I kind of think back on that 66 that I cut up because it was bent so bad. And I did save the roof off of that car. I did save the top, the roof, just in case I needed a roof. I saved it. But even that, I don't know if I should have saved or cut further down into the sail panel and save some of those pieces. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully there's some solution for you on that. Another one I want to give a little shout out is Grease Rookie Garage. He's been trying to put things together, and he's struggling, or has been struggling, with the welder he's using. And it's hard to teach yourself how to weld. It really is. And he had done some welding on the car previously, realized that wasn't good, so he tried to redo it, realized that wasn't good, and he got some help from Harvey. I don't know if Harvey will be on here or not, but Harvey gave him some recommendations along with some other people. And it looks like he's figured it out. So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. He posted a video recently. Looks good what he's got going on. I try to explain, because most of my welding I learned from osmosis. From watching my dad or my brother, learning with a stick welder, and I did teach myself basically how to weld with a stick welder. And then later on got into some of the MIG stuff. Also did acetylene, torch welding and stuff like that when I was in A&P school. And I think it's kind of like, for me, I've learned how to do it, but it's really hard for me to explain how to do it. So in this case, Andrew needed to apply more heat to get a better weld, and it worked. It did what he needed. But it's hard for me to explain that to somebody, because I just kind of adapt. I realize, okay, that doesn't sound right. I play with it a little bit, get my numbers where I want them, and start welding. But I guess I don't really, I don't know, have the technical way of saying, oh, that's not enough heat. And my mind just doesn't say that. It just says, oh, do this. Okay. It's kind of like when I was racing dirt cars on dirt track, stock cars on dirt track. I mentioned before, my neighbor Roger, he was my crew chief and helped me out with the car. And he'd ask me, what's the car doing? What's it doing? How's it handling? I said, I don't know. He said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, because whenever I would race, I would just compensate. Whatever was feeling weird, I would figure out a way to make it feel better. And so I would have to explain it kind of in that essence, to where I said, okay, well, when it starts to do this, I want to do this, and he might say, well, it's loose or tight, whatever the terms are. And it was hard for me to convey that information, because I was driving by the seat of my pants. It's like, okay, I know what to do here, just kind of instinctual. Okay, now that's another tough name. I don't even know how you say that. I don't know. All right, Kay. Thanks for the shout out, Kay. Or I could say KC, because you got a K and a C. I'll say KC. How about that? Glad you're here, KC. Daryl Jones shaking from the August fire. Oh, wait a minute. Is that August Complex Fire? August Fire Complex in Northern California. Either way, one rolls off the tongue better. August Fire Complex rolls better than August Complex Fire. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm glad you're here, Daryl. I hope you're safe. KC, do you like Willie's Jeeps? Yes, I do. I think they're very cool. I mean, the old Willies, yeah, the old Willie's Jeeps, like the military Jeeps, stuff like that. Yes, I think they're very cool. Never had one. I've ridden in some, but I've never had one. But I do think they're cool vehicles. Good question. Let me see. Let me go back to my. What was I? What else was I thinking about? Talking about the Jade Mustang, fire up, trim, and oh yeah, as I mentioned in the video, I still have to pull the. I'm trying to remember. I think I did have the hood out of the box. I think whenever I was test fitting all the front end, the fenders and fitting up the aprons and all that sort of thing, and I'm pretty sure I had that out of the box, but I'll have to pull that out again and verify that, and also get it prepped so that it can accept paint as well. That's a good question, Sketchy Ride. Send me an email. Send me an email. We can talk about it. There's my email at the bottom of the screen. So, and also, if anybody wants to get on this live stream right now, today, by all means, send me an email, and I will send you a invite so we can get on here and talk about your project or whatever else is going on in life, in the world. I do want to point something out, though, if you haven't noticed already. But I've got a new shelf unit. I was thinking about this for a while now, and you've probably seen in some of my videos, and somebody had commented on one of my videos. They're like, they had seen a bunch of stuff on my pegboard that's still in packages and different things. What is all that about? It's just stuff, just random stuff that a lot of times I'll use something and I'll put it right back in the package and hang it on the pegboard. Just a way to keep it together. Some tools I have that fit right back in the package, and I hang them up. But I have above the pegboard, I bought these shelf pieces. Now, it's kind of the brackets that I bought are like kind of like a C shape. So you can put a shelf on up here, and then you can put a shelf down here, and the back section mounts to the wall. And I looked at them, and they're rated at whatever pounds, I don't know, something pretty good. And I thought, well, I think I can use those. So I put them up on the wall, and I have some paint up there and some reducer and material stuff. So it can be pretty heavy when you start putting paints and stuff up there. And I know the paints did not affect the brackets. I know it's just not enough weight. But the whole thing from the very start, the shelf unit, instead of being nice and level, it leans down. And I noticed the other day, I don't know if I was using the paint shaker or what, and I just happened to look up, and it was like there was a gallon of carburetor parts cleaner, and it was about halfway off the shelf. It was almost ready to come off. And I looked, and there was a couple other things that were about a third of the way, and I was like, this isn't good. This isn't good. I want to be able to use that shelf. So what I did is I started looking around the shop, and I'm limited by space anyway. But then I realized I'm also putting a ton of stuff on my workbench that's sitting right here next to me. So if you look at the videos, and I've got the vise, and then I've got paint stuff and Bondos or body filler stuff and whatever. And I'm realizing, you know what? I can't even hardly use my bench because I've got junk all over it. Along with that, stuff like my RC truck. It's just been bouncing around the shop trying to find a place to put it while I, work on something. So if you've, and I don't know if I'll post a video or not, but if you were to look at the videos, and I have that big TNN sign that's in midway down the shop, it's beside the lift, for two-post lift. I've decided I'm going to clean up that space, pop in this shelf. I could put all my paint materials over there. I can put, variety of boxes and stuff. Because I even have a welding table with a 1/2-inch thick plate on it that at this moment it has the paint shaker, which is fine because you want something rigid for the paint shaker. But then I've got like oil filters sitting on it. I've got the boxes for the Black Widow spray guns. It's like, this is ridiculous. Get this stuff off of your workspace and get it up on a shelf somewhere. It's just driving me crazy. So anyway, David Sherrill, Barry, you should think of doing a video on welding for beginners. There seem to be a lot of us wanting to learn about starting to weld. Yeah, and I've thought about that, but it's really, I don't know how to. I guess I could pull it off somehow. I'd have to figure it out, but it's really hard to convey information sometimes on that sort of thing, because you may learn that holding the tip a certain distance away from what you're welding changes the parameters as well. Little things like that are just you just feel it. It's really hard to convey that kind of information. So anyway, Brian Francis, he just got in. Okay. Jerry Eastwood has some very good welding videos for beginners. Check them out. Well, there you go. That may be helpful. Let's see. Truck One LT. I joined your live stream and discussed my fastback, but I wouldn't know where to start with the conversation. We'll just play it by ear. There is no format. There is no, there's no script. I'm sitting here just randomly talking into space. I'd be happy to let people see your car. Maybe there's some other ideas that they can come up with that, might help. So by all means, pull out your phone, send me an email, we'll get you on there. I think it'd be cool to show people what's going on, because a lot of times people could be in the same situation and just want to give up. They just don't have an idea what they should do. And even looking at videos doesn't help if you don't have, somebody else kind of tagging along with you. M1M, I learned everything I need from Barry's videos. Just search them and you'll find a ton of them. There you go. Jerry, also Barry has some good videos showing welding. The neat thing is you can hear the welding sound. The sound tells you if your amps are right. That is very true. You can tell by the crackle, the sizzle. That's such a good feeling. When you get get everything just right and you hit that welder and it just has a nice sizzle to it. David Shaw, Barry's the reason we are going to get a welder and get started. Well, good. I've been I don't know if I should say given credit or blamed for a lot of people doing a lot of things. But I'm always excited whenever somebody takes on a challenge like that and learns and progresses, and figures it out. It's always good. It's always good. M1, also most welders have charts. Well, I'll take your word for it. Honestly, I don't even know. I think my flux core may have some charts on it, and maybe the MIG does too. I don't know. I never paid attention to that. Now, I did pay attention when I was trying to TIG weld with the TIG welder that I have from Harbor Freight. But the biggest problem I had with that was I had the wrong size rod for what I was trying to do. So that's kind of on the side for the moment. I'm not too worried about it. So let's see what else is going on. I don't know if I'm assuming the fires are still going crazy out there in California. I'm assuming, and I know they had hurricanes hitting the Gulf, and supposed to be more coming. I don't know if this weather we're having right now is part of that, but the seasons are changing, and it's definitely going to be getting colder soon. But it's all part of it. Let's see. Well, since we're talking about welding, since we're on that subject, and I'm waiting for Truck One to send me an email. I know he's going to send me an email. Okay. Brian is checking in. Good afternoon, Barry and all. Prepping to put some 2K down. Awesome. Sounds great. Now, let me show you something. I've been looking at, well, let's step over to the Brooklyn Pony for a second. As I built this car and as things have progressed, and I mentioned it before at some point, that the owner wants me to block off the vents for the cowl completely. And I'm okay with that. You know, it's his car and it's fine. It's not going to affect much of anything other than keeping it from getting wet and junk down in it, because the vents get blocked off anyway. So what do you gain by having, you know, water in there? So I've been looking at trying to come up with some metal to make patches, essentially. Now, you could do this a couple different ways. I guess you could actually cut out the vents if you wanted and just make a filler piece. You know, that may still be an option. I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at different ideas, but that may be an option to just make a filler piece and, well, you know, tack weld it in slowly and get it filled. Another option would be to make drop-in patches that would sit on top of the existing vent openings and just weld the perimeter. I don't know which way would be better. The patches need to be a certain thickness, and my guesstimation is 16 gauge steel. I was at Lowe's yesterday when I got this rack. Now, I know some people are going to say, you know, go buy metal other places, whatever. I can tell you this: if I'm at Lowe's and they have a sheet of 16 gauge and this is all I need, I'm not going to buy a full 4x8 sheet or a 4x4 sheet or pay to have, you know, a panel cut. Whenever I could just buy this sheet and I can make all the patches I need, I believe, out of this one piece, and that'll take care of it. So that's the status at this point. Now, again, this cost I like $15. I don't know what a full sheet would cost, but when you think about it, if you have, let's say you bought a full sheet, or in my case, if I bought a full sheet, I'd have to get it cut down to size to begin with so I could handle it. And then I have to store it somewhere. So there's a trade-off. Yeah, it may be cheaper to buy in bulk, as it is with most things. But in this case, what am I going to do with it? You know, I'm not going to sit on a 4x8 sheet or a 4x4 sheet and just wait for a time I may need it. This is a quick and easy fix. I won't have hardly any scrap left over, and it's the exact size that I need. So, boom, done. But I do understand the value of buying metal at a supply place that is specific. I've done it many times. And yeah, if you're buying 120 feet, like I did those deer feeders that I built on my other channel, I built some deer feeders. You know, the guy provided me with 120 feet of 1-inch square tubing. Well, you buy it at a metal supply place, it works out to be, you know, I don't know what is $1 a foot or something. But if you try to buy a 4-foot stick somewhere, they're going to charge you $20 for it. It's just how it works. So, now let me see. I'm not sure. Karsten, do yourself a favor. Buy a goon to a welder. Has half the job. Are you trying to say gun? Buy a gun to the welder, to a welder? Buy a gun welder? Has half the job. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Karsten. I'm sure it's a good comment, but I'm not sure how it's not translating very well. Just saying. Sketchy just finished chemical stripping and beginning the strip sanding process of a Global Express at work. Sanding epoxy over composite takes time. Yeah, sure it does. Sure it does. Yeah, that always takes time. I got your email, by the way. So we'll go from there in a minute. Nobody, 1966, made it. Yay, glad you're here. Jerry Tyler, what about a billet cover? Probably cost. He doesn't want that. He just wants it blocked off. Just block it off. So are you saying cut small strips and weld into the slots? Nope. I'm saying, because if you look at it, it's a recess. So where the slots are, let's say, that is actually down just about 16 gauge, that I can cut one piece and drop it into each section about the each section of the cowl, and then weld the perimeter on each one of those. That's kind of where I'm at with it. That's what I think I'm going to do. Let me see. I see your comment, Truck, but your email hasn't showed up yet. All right, we've got I'd fix 3M. Glad you're here. You have a question regarding your door paint removal with the rotating wire brush. Isn't it polishing the metal too much? I mean, will primer, filler, and paint stick to it? Or about you send that first? Well, it'll stick to it. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, in essence, you are kind of polishing the metal, but you need to look at the other two videos that I made. I think 2 videos. No, second video, one I posted yesterday. Yeah, I sprayed it with epoxy, and then I painted the black. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but anyway, the I understand what you're saying. If you did try, if it was polished, it would be resistant, but you're still going to bare metal, you know. So you can go over it with like a Scotch-Brite just to make sure it's scuffed, if that's a concern. The biggest thing is make sure the old paint and dust is off and it's clean and that sort of thing. And then, but I understand what you're saying. You're sort of polishing it, but you're really scratching it. You really are, because it's not. I don't think it makes it much smoother than it was. So, Truck, I don't see your email, man. I don't see your email. All right, Karsten. Okay, we're going to go back to Carson's comment. He was saying, do yourself a favor, purchase a good welder. That's half the job. Yes. Yes, I agree with that. Let's see. Paul, where do you buy your parts besides your Amazon page, of course? Well, I haven't had to buy much, honestly. A lot of the parts that have been coming in for the Brooklyn Pony, the owner buys. He sends them to me. And then if I do need something, I haven't been. Okay, so I got your email. All right. If I do need something, I've tried, like CJ Pony parts. That's probably been the only other place I've really ordered from. But I've heard good things about like Kentucky Mustang, and I've heard good things about NPD. And then sheet metal stuff, I recommend a guy named Ron Wolf, who has Wolf Restoration Services. He's also a Dynacorn dealer. So you could probably find him. And, if you're interested in buying some Dynacorn parts. So, all right. I sent Truck One a invite. All right. So I hope that helps, Paul. I hope that helps. But that's about all I can tell you. Let's see. Greg Workshop checking in. Glad you're here, Greg. Jerry, I wasn't connecting the dots on the cowl vent, so I had to go look at mine, and now I understand. Yeah. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's recessed, and it's about a 16th or a, whatever it is, 16 gauge, whatever that dimension is. I did some testing with some scrap pieces that I had and just kind of set them in there and, ran my hand across. It's still going to take filler. We know that much. There's, you're not just going to make it, perfect. I don't believe, welding it. Maybe if it was TIGged, you could get close, but I think it's still going to end up being, it's going to have filler. So that'll come down the road with the, future videos. David and Cheryl, there seems to be a lot of welders out there to choose from. Also, a bottle, gas, and whatever else we would need. Yes. Well, the bottle you're going to buy from your local paint supply place. Welding supply place, not paint supply, welding supply place. You're going to have to purchase the bottle, just the way it is. Now, you could, like I needed a bottle for my TIG welder, and it needed to be straight argon, whereas the other one is argon CO2. I see you down there, Tom. I'll be with you in a minute. So argon CO2 mix. So if you do some, and I know you're in a small town, you said, but you might be able to find somebody that's selling a bottle. Once you own a bottle, at least if it's in date tolerance, you can exchange it at your local welding supply place. Now, they don't usually question the bottle. I've taken different, had different names on a bottle and taken it in. They didn't care. Gave me another bottle. It's good to go. So that's one thing. And then, of course, the welders, there's a variety of choices on here. Like M1M points out the Hobart is what he used for the Hobart Handler 140. I use the Lincoln 140T. Seems to do a great job. But I'm not against, if that thing dies, I'll probably buy a welder from Harbor Freight, honestly. I'll get one of their better brand of one of their better brands, not the Central Pneumatic or Chicago Electric or whatever. I'll go for one of the other ones. I can't think of the names. M1, I don't know if that color would be considered grabber blue or not. I don't know. Yes, and a good helmet. You are correct. Okay. I'm going to bring Tom on, and he's going to show us his project and what's going on with it. So let's say hey to Tom. There you are.
Hey, Barry.
Hey.
So, did a little digging today. I have a 65 fastback that I picked up about 5 months ago, Jacksonville, Florida. Searched high and low for this thing. It's an A code. It was a complete car, unmolested. So got pictures of it, drove down to Jacksonville with my brother, who also has a 65 fastback. We went over it the best we could while we were there. Car seemed solid, typical Mustang rust. And made the deal, brought her home, started pulling her apart. I knew front frame rails needed to be replaced or at least patched. Rear frame rails needed to be patched. And other typical firewall, rust, the cowl was shot, and the aprons. So I got most of that done up front. And I kind of forgot about the back of the car. I had to. I started pulling it apart and got overwhelmed and called my brother. He restored his fastback, 25 years ago. And I'm like, man, I'm getting overwhelmed here. I think I bit off more than I can chew, figuring the older brother's going to, give me a little advice on, you got this, no problem. And he said, you absolutely bit off more than you could chew. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So he said, take it a piece at a time. Stop looking at the whole car. So I did. And I started in front. I got my aprons on. So whole front's done. Cleaned up. Starting on the firewall and the cowl, hopefully this week. And while I'm waiting on my parts, I figured I'd come back. I knew this was going to be a bit of an issue. And started poking and prodding. And the fastback window, I cut this section out. And lo and behold, we got that. So, yeah, like you said, of course, I went right to my first person, which was my brother. And I'm like, have you ever seen rust like this? And he said, no, just like you said, never seen it before.
No.
So I don't know if there was a leak up here. Just, over the years, it sat out untouched for almost 40 years.
Right.
In Jacksonville. So I'm sure the saltwater airs, the air down there definitely didn't do it any favors.
Sure.
But my major issue is if this would have, maybe not rusted so far back, this would have been an easy repair. Just, fab this in, no big deal. My problem is my rust goes up under my roof.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at, which is only to about here.
Yeah, but it's getting there.
Yeah, from about here up, I can look on the inside and it's all solid metal.
Okay.
I think may actually be a joint right in here.
It's possible. Usually there's some sort of a cross rib that runs side to side, I think.
Yeah. So, of course, today I reached out to you after I seen it, and I'm like, I need help or insight or any ideas. So that's kind of where we're at now. Went and pulled out all the lead for this. I have this whole quarter. I knew this was going to be a complete replacement just because it was shot down here.
Right.
So that's kind of where I started. I just came back, started cleaning things up, and get myself ahead of schedule, hopefully, to replace this. And I got to here, and the proverbial brakes got thrown on.
Now, what's the condition of like the rocker panel and stuff?
Rockers are great. Everything's solid, which was surprising. I have just a little bit here on the end.
Okay.
But I can cut that out and fab that piece in. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe cut this out and fab that edge there too.
Right.
The passenger side rocker is perfect. Matter of fact, the passenger side of the car is in great shape. So I don't know if this thing was leaning to the driver's side over the 40 years and just all the water and whatever settled on this side of the car and just.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I only had to do the firewall's barely cut out, but I only had to do a short pan on the passenger side, and I just cut the whole thing out. But it was only just like a crescent shape that was rusted out up there.
Huh.
And then over here, I had to do a whole pan.
Right. So, what about the rest of the infrastructure behind that pillar in that area?
So, when we initially looked at it, we were just thinking that it was just going to be this B pillar replacement, here down.
Right.
You see, it's rotted here. We really couldn't the way and where it was sitting. We really couldn't get under the car and crawl around it. It was more or less a here it is, do you want it or not type deal.
Right.
And so we knew this was going to be a replacement. We couldn't see all this.
Right.
And from here up, it's good. That's why I notched this out to see how far this went. And this is all good. It's just surface rust. I took the grinder to it to see if it would clean up. Yeah, it would clean up, and I would have no problem welding to it.
Well, see, I wonder what your options are because as we said, Dynacorn makes a full side.
Yeah.
But it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's I've seen them anywhere from almost $1,500 to $1,900.
I might have to give you a phone number.
Okay.
I might have to give you a phone number. There was a contact made on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
That a guy sent me the link. I messaged the person. He had like 5 floor pans he was selling. 5 complete Dynacorn floor pans.
Yeah.
At a pretty big discount. And I was like, okay, what's up with that? And I saw pictures and it looked like there was some damage to these floor pans. So maybe they got rejected or something like that. And he is second selling them. I don't know. But I said, can he get other parts? And the guy said, he can get everything for Dynacorn. So maybe I can give you a number for somebody, or I can contact him and see if he's got a side that maybe it's damaged.
Yeah.
Maybe part of it is no good, but it would have all those pieces. So that might be an option.
That would be huge.
I'm gonna have to check into that. So, yeah, but I mean, I don't know where else to tell you to get parts. They either sell you that whole kit or nothing. It's not like they're gonna sell you all the individual pieces.
And it's strange if you look at that whole driver's side frame section, it's all welded together. It's the whole B pillars there, and then the fastback vent. So I don't see why Dynacorn wouldn't sell them as individual pieces.
Well,
I guess.
probably because there's not enough market.
Yeah.
They're not gonna stamp out pieces. They're having those production made over in China,
Yeah.
and so they're not gonna sell you this big a bracket, because they need an inventory of that.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna have somebody buy 1,000 of them, what's the point? So,
Or you get people like me that have to buy the whole side for 2 sections of the piece that they're
right,
selling for $1,800. Yeah, I
right,
get it.
yeah,
So, well, while I'm here, I guess I'll give you a little insight on the rest of the car.
yeah, sure,
The back, which we didn't know because we didn't have keys. So the rear frame rail,
ooh,
obviously shot.
yeah,
Yeah. It actually looks worse from up top than it does from the bottom.
yeah,
Looks like I might be able to scab in the frame rail patch from
yeah,
about here back. So that's a little better. I was, matter of fact, when I got the alert that you were going live, I was underneath the car looking at that. And then same over here, frame rail, and then I got a quarter patch I got to do over here.
right,
The whole rear taillight panel.
yep.
So I actually have that. I have the driver's side quarter. Here's the new panel and valance.
Is that a original tooling tail panel?
I don't know. The guy I bought the car from threw in a bunch of sheet metal,
Okay,
and lo and behold, half of it was for 67, 68. So like I have a new front fender, driver's side fender. That's for a 67, 68.
oh man, I was hoping you said a right side fender.
No, no, driver's side. So I'm like, when I took my fenders off, I kind of laid it on there, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
something ain't right here.
yeah,
So yeah, he was kind of throwing some stuff in. A lot of Mustang guys know the guy I bought it from and stuff. Everybody calls him Fast Freddy from Jacksonville.
okay,
He runs Mustang Masters.
okay,
So yeah, he's got a bunch of Mustangs down there, and this one was basically just sitting there rotting away. And the cool thing with this car is when I started tearing it apart, I actually found the last year registration in a glove box. It was from '81, and so I sent the certified letter to the address, figuring, hey, what the heck?
yeah,
And I got a phone call from the former owner's son.
okay,
He said his dad owned it. He bought it in '76, I think, and planned on restoring it. Never really got around to it. The son who called me drove it back and forth to high school, his entire high school career, I guess you call it. Parked it in '81 when he left for college, and that's where it sat. So his dad passed on. They were trying to make some room. Freddie from Mustang Masters seen the ad, came down, bought it from them, had it for about a year and a half on his lot, and that's when I literally stumbled upon this car.
yeah,
Actually, my brother stumbled upon it. He was kind of helping me look for the car, and I knew what I wanted. I wanted the 65 fastback, A code, preferably. And man, there's just not a lot out there, and the stuff that is out there is 10 times worse than what I'm dealing with here, or it's been restored already and they're, asking buku bucks.
right,
So, I was actually at work and my brother called me and said, hey, I just seen this ad on Marketplace for a 66 fastback. He said, you should give him a call. Well, being at work, I'm a firefighter. I'm like, it's probably not great. And if I get a call or something, I have to cut the phone call short. So I didn't hear back from my brother. About 10 minutes later, I get a text from him. He's like, you need to call this guy right now. And I'm like, why? What's going on? He said, well, other than the 66, he also has 265 fastback A codes. And I'm like, what? So lo and behold, we catch a run. I didn't have a chance to call him. I call him Monday morning. That was Friday. I called him Monday morning and I said, hey, look, my brother talked to you Friday. He said that you told him you have a 65 fastback A code. And he goes, no, sir, I didn't. I said, you didn't tell my brother Friday that you have a 65 fastback gate code? He said, no, sir. I told him I have two. So, so I was like, I was kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, all right, now what do I ask him about? Yeah, I found the car I've been looking for. So he said he had this one, which I ended up purchasing.
Right.
That was in better shape than the other one. So I can't imagine. I never did look at the other one, but I can't imagine what the other one looked like if this one was the better of the two.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm 5 months in. The wife's yelling at me because I spend every waking second out here, tinkering, cutting, measuring, doing whatever.
Right.
Because I'm looking at the end line. I've wanted this car for 25 years, and now all I want to think about is driving it. So
sure.
The only that's going to happen is being out here and getting stuff back to where it should be at.
Yeah.
So other than that little snafu I have now, everything else I've pretty much laid out and kind of have a time frame of when things should be done. I was hoping to turn this into a 2-year restoration and get everything back to where it should be at. But it seems like I keep stumbling upon more. It's the onion. The more I peel back, the worse it gets.
And the more you cry, right?
Yeah. Yes, that is true.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to make contact with that guy. He's up in Pennsylvania.
That's where I'm at.
And what's that?
That's where I'm at.
Oh, where at?
Stewartstown.
Stewartstown.
I'm about 4 minutes north of the Maryland line.
Oh,
yeah. East
or west state?
It's kind of central, like right off of I-83.
Okay. Because I grew up in Somerset County.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure how close that is. Where you're at, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm a transplant from Maryland.
Okay. When I got and Bedford County, Somerset County. So I don't know if that's kind of mid state as well.
Okay.
About 2 hours east of Pittsburgh is roughly where I was.
Okay, so I'm probably 2 hours from there then, because I'm about 4 hours from Pittsburgh.
Okay, so you're more towards Philly then.
Yeah. I'm about an hour from Philly.
Probably close to Harrisburg.
Yes, yeah, I can be to Harrisburg in 30 minutes.
Okay, well, Grease Rookie Garage is up there somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's up in that area.
Maybe me and him get together and bang heads.
Yeah. Well, that may work out. I'll have to call that guy and see what arrangements can be made. Maybe you can make a trip right to where that stuff is and buy you a shot.
So when I sent you the email earlier, what are your thoughts on cutting that?
Well, I don't
that was kind of my first go-to. I figure
right.
if I can cut that out and then stitch weld it back and make sure everything's true and sound, it's a lot better than cutting a perfectly good roof off the entire car.
I'm with you on that. I'm not against that. I think that can work.
Okay.
Because you're right. You don't want to cut that roof off. You don't want to have to dig into more and more and more. Otherwise, what are you gaining? But right. Yeah, section that out.
Especially after watching you do that that drip rail replacement.
Yeah.
God, all the spot welds in that drip rail. I started watching that video. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that way they put that together is crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just finished with the Cowl, so I'm just about done with spot welds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I have to get up under here, I think I'm leaning towards just notching that out.
Right.
So I can get in there to access, because like I said, the frame is good from here.
Yeah.
Here forward.
Well, I don't expect there to be any real serious problems with doing that, cutting that out, but put in some bracing.
Okay.
Just be careful.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want something to twist on you and you go, oh, crap, now what? Yeah. So find a place to put in some bracing to hold that together.
So that's the other odd thing with this. If you look, it's just this top section. So it's almost like the water got between the outer skin and this frame on the top, because this inner panel
Yeah.
is solid all the way down. I mean, rock solid.
That's really weird.
Yeah, that's when I opened it up, I was like, "What is going on here?" So, but yeah, I was thinking that too. Just to be on the safe side. Last thing I need is this thing to get racked any which way, especially with having to do the B pillar.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Just put in some bracing.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
just kind of triangulate some things so you
Yep.
get the idea, and I think you'll be fine.
Alrighty.
But I'll get with that guy and try to get some information for you.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. I had all the people watching. Thanks for seeing my disaster. Hopefully, in about a year and a half, we can do this again with a finished car.
That'd be awesome.
Wishful thinking, but hey. So, all right, Barry. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Glad you're here. We'll see you.
Bye. Yep.
Bye. All right. Well, Tom's got a project, as a lot of us do. So hopefully I can help him out and get him a connection to a supplier for some parts. Maybe. We'll find out. Jerry is saying check out Eastwood for welders. Good idea. Paul D'Amato. I always want to say D'Amato. I don't know why, but Paul D'Amato is here checking in. I'm guessing he's taking a break from sanding. All right. David Churro. Paul, I've got a Miller 211 and love it. Yep. Good welder. Okay, so David just left good work. And I know that was a little while ago. I'm just catching up on the comments. Paul says 110 and 220. Very nice. Tom will get the whole rear kit, I guess is what Greg is saying. VW, I'm no Mustang guy, but how about a donor car with that section good? And as Stuff and Things says, sadly, a donor car would be worth more to restore than cut up for parts usually. That is very true. Mark Dos Santos. How was that? Mark Dos. Oh, well, it's French. Hello, I'm French. I live in France. I own a Mustang 1968 with a 351 Windsor. I enjoy your videos. I don't know how to say it. The name doesn't come off as real easily in French. Mark Dos Santos, I guess, is how you say that. But I'm glad you're here. That's the first I've seen anybody, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. But wait. You get a good bell for showing up from France. I don't know if I've had anybody from France that I recall. So that's pretty cool. Glad you're here. VW Insanity. I guess it depends on what's gone on the donor car, or maybe find another body and chalk it up to a learning experience. Possibly. It's really, as he said, it's hard to find 65 fastback in almost any condition. And then, even people that are trying to sell a donor car think that it's worth $1 million. So it's really difficult to want to buy something in that respect. So Rascal's Garage checking in. Well, I'm glad you're here. We're having a pretty good turnout for a Thursday. Maybe it's because of the rain. I don't know. But, 44 people. That's pretty good for a Thursday. Oh, wow. We have Tom Paget. Long time no see. Well, I'm glad you're here, Tom. And maybe it's Tom I was thinking of that was from France. I'm thinking. Maybe. If that's the case, then I have two people here from France, which is awesome. That's really good. It's been an hour, but I'll keep going. If everybody wants to keep on keeping on. If anybody else wants to get on the live stream, like Tom did, I think that was awesome to have him on there. Send me an email. We'll get you hooked up, get you on the live stream, and see what's going on in your part of the world as well. Otherwise, I'm about used up on my coffee. This is a cup that changes colors. When it's hot, it's white. When it's cold, it's cold. Let's see. Tom, of course, still from France. How's your project going? Well, the projects are going pretty good. I don't know if you've been following the videos or not. The Brooklyn Pony has progressed pretty far. There's more to do. Needs more parts, needs more things, but it's progressing pretty well. And the Jade Mustang, the 68, is progressing. So I'm getting some paint on parts of it, getting body work done on it. So it's doing really well. Thank you for asking. VW Insanity. I see everyone's car is gold to them. I get it. I run into that with the VW Rabbit pickup. I have a project. Yeah. Well, and it's, I mean, anymore, if you look up Barrett Jackson, right, and you see a Mustang going up for sale, whether it's a fastback or whatever, Shelby, whatever, they're not going for $10,000. They're not going for 30, 40, 50, you know, it adds up really fast. And no offense at all with VW Insanity, but even the, you know, VW Rabbit pickup, you don't see those every day. I mean, really, I haven't seen one of those in years, but you also don't see them going across the stage, you know, in a Barrett Jackson thing. So it's nice to find anything that you can rebuild, especially like your VW Rabbit. Some people don't have any interest in them. Some people, obviously, you have one, you like it, and that's great. But it seems crazy with the Mustang stuff. You know, when you see a 68 that was used in a movie sell for over $3 million and stuff like that, or special edition Shelby this or Shelby that. And then somebody who has one like Tom was showing, you know, maybe this guy, I don't know, the salesman there, whatever. But if somebody has one sitting in their backyard that's sinking into the ground and the bottom half of the car is rusted off, they're still going to say, I want $10,000 for that thing. I saw, you know, one of these on Barrett Jackson go for $80,000. Well, what they don't realize is it takes $80,000 to make it an $80,000 car. You know, they don't even imagine what it really takes to fix one up. So anyway, everybody has their niche. Everybody has their certain little thing they like to keep and build or work on. Big Bill, hey Barry, glad to see you're working on Jade again. Yep, I'll give you a bell for that. I'm happy to be working on Jade. You know, again, I'm looking at trying to get it as close to being drivable as I can. I say, you know, we may end up with one seat in it and no gauges, but if it starts and runs, maybe all I get, at least for short term. Jerry, Barry, have you ever tried black tea? I've tried green tea. I've tried regular tea. I don't know if there's a difference between green and regular and black. I don't know the difference. So, Paul, he is sanding away. Yep. Sometimes it's a fixation. Sometimes, you know, people can't stop themselves. They just want to keep on keeping on. But if sanding does it for you, that's cool. Keeps you out of trouble, right? That's a good thing. There was something else. What was I going to mention? I mentioned it, the patch panels I want to make out of that 16 gauge. I was going to show you, I didn't download this picture, but the paint that I used on the door for the Brooklyn, or for the Jade, the inside of the door. Let me show you if I can get this picture up. Yeah, maybe it'll stay. Nope. My friend, the PPG representative that I use, he paints on the side, and he's done some really cool stuff. But I can't say when, if ever, that I've seen one of these painted in somebody's home shop. Yeah. He painted a Batmobile. That's the same paint that he used, that I used on those doors. That's the same paint. That's pretty cool. And I think it's going on display somewhere. I don't know where. He's told me before. He's painted a variety of. It's some collector guy. He's got one of those. He's got, I don't know, a bunch of different stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool that he painted the Batmobile or one of the replica Batmobiles. Marshall, hey folks, checking in. Have the day off work, so in the garage. Man, did Ford ever like the seam seal in the front of the quarters behind the B pillar over a half-inch thick? Yeah. Yeah. David and Cheryl, I see on Facebook Marketplace someone is asking $3,500 for 68 fastback straight six, and it is in really bad shape. You know what? They'll probably get it. It really doesn't matter what shape it's in. People are paying money for those things. I'm always scanning Marketplace, looking for stuff. In fact, I had a friend send me a link today to 2 cars for sale. That a 67 coupe and a 68 coupe with, I think, an engine, some parts, and whatever, and they're wanting $3,000 for both of them. I'm really tempted to call those people up, say, hey, what can we do here to make a deal? But the problem was, I say problem because this is where it becomes a difficult thing. When it's a 6-cylinder car, and I'm not against 6-cylinder cars, but the market bears value on V8 cars. It's the same car, essentially body shape and everything, but the value comes into the V8 cars. So if I were to buy a 67 and 68 coupe that are 6-cylinder cars, it's hard to me, it doesn't, I mean, I don't mind converting them to a V8, but I don't know that a lot of people are going, well, I want a converted car. You know what I mean? I mean, at some point, the market doesn't matter, because if you can't find a V8, an original V8 car, well, the next best thing is a 6-cylinder car that was converted to a V8, in my opinion. But again, I can't say that people are looking for that kind of thing. But there's always options. 3M, with your videos, you got me to tackle bigger welding jobs. I was just practicing on a Mazda MX-5 of the first series. Those things are now 30 years old and historic. Yeah. Yeah. Jerry, you should try black tea. It's almost like coffee, but less aggressive in the taste. I may do that. I will say, Jerry, that my wife buys, I can't think of the name, Lucy Joe's or something, coffee that it's less acidic, I believe. I think it's Lucy Joe or something like that. Some sort of coffee she buys. It's pretty good. VW and Sandy, I live in Huntsville, Alabama. Mustangs are the very high priority here. Never seen so many in one place. It's like the city car, like a state bird. VW Insanity, no offense taken. I watch your stuff for ideas on how to do body work, and welding things back on works for any car. Well, thank you, VW. My bell's sticking again. Okay. Nobody 66. Resto mod market is pretty good. That's true. It is. It's not easy to get donor Mustangs or metal parts in Germany. That's true too. Is that where you're at? That's true. Jerry, 6-cylinder cars require tremendous upgraded conversion for the suspension. Well, sort of. I mean, basically, you just convert everything over in my opinion, just by upper and lower control arms, convert it to, like I did when the Jade Mustang, I converted it to disc brakes, and I came with new spindles. So it wasn't like it had to really modify anything other than just swapping out the parts. And then the rear, you put it in a Ford 9-inch or 8.8, whatever. And whether you want to change out the springs, you need to put in heavier coils and stuff like that. But anyway, I think it's the only thing that bothers me about it is the VIN number. You come out and you say, oh, it's a 6-cylinder car. No, it's easy enough to buy the parts for the V8 car that you can swap them into the 6-cylinder car. Devin Sherwood would like to find a Mustang that David had before we met. I think it was a '69 Mustang Fastback. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I'm still hoping. I know it'll never happen, but I'm always hoping somehow, some way, that the person that bought my dad's '69 Mach 1 um, made contact in some way that I could get that car back. I just think it would be cool to have. If not, that's okay too. I'll find one eventually. I'll find one and I'll just clone what he had and maybe resto mod it, make it the way I want it. So yeah, it's just the cost for the conversion. You're right. You're right, Jerry. You're right. But sometimes, you know, like I think the brake kit I bought for the Jade Mustang was $700-800, but that was spindles, rotors, calipers, everything I needed to bolt it on. And I think also I had the master cylinder, brake booster, brake pedal. It was like the whole thing for about 800 bucks. So, but yeah, there is definitely cost involved. I agree. 3M, I have to import most parts. I was in thinking if I should replace the side panels of my 67 Coupe Resto project. Thanks to your videos, I know how to. Oh, good. Well, good. Yep. I'm glad you have found those useful. I got a text from somebody. I don't know who it is. So, I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, I'm going to play around with that, making those patches on the cowl, and I want to play around with that Eastwood spray. If there's any, you know, if there's any other suggestions, because let me grab this a second. As I said, I mentioned this on the Monday stream that the nozzle. Let me see if I can get this open. The tube is pretty small. It's actually a lot smaller than it looks on camera. But the hard part, I think, you know, is trying to get it all clean. And I'm assuming, you know, this nozzle, I haven't played with it at all, but I'm assuming that, you know, if I were to take like an injection syringe and say you had lacquer thinner in it, you just shot it into that hole until the tube becomes clean. Almost took my eye out there. That may be all I need to do. Otherwise, the alternative, I think, would be to get another piece of this tubing. I think, you know, they sell stuff like this. This just feels like regular Teflon tubing. So it may be an option to, you know, maybe buy a roll of this tubing that you could get, you know, many pieces out of. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but that may be a thing too, because really just the end is just a brass fitting that presses into that nozzle or presses into the tubing. And of course, on this end, it, you know, just connects to that cap. So maybe all you really need is the two pieces, the little piece of brass and the fitting, you know, for this end. And you might be able to use maybe a different product. I don't know. Just saying. But I will be using this fairly soon. But I think that'll be an easy way to clean that up, is to try to use, like I said, a syringe. I have some. You can buy generic syringes with no needles in them, just like an injection syringe I use them for, like, if you ever seen any of the videos I've done brake jobs where I want to pull out brake fluid, I used to use like a turkey baster to pull brake fluid out of a master cylinder, but they don't hold up very well to that. So I've been using a syringe, and I have these little plastic syringes that I use. And let me see if I have one available. I should. Just these little generic syringes. I don't know if you can get these from, I don't know where you can get these, honestly. I don't know where I got these, but I know you could buy a threaded tip you can put on it, and it might be just enough to connect these two together and clean out that tubing. That's actually a little quart bottle I keep over there of used brake fluid. Kind of easy to store it that way. So let me see what it's. Jerry, my car is a 6-cylinder and I'll keep it. Have upgraded the rear end to an 8.8 and upgraded the front end to the specs on the V8s. Yeah, it's a good call. Karsten, he may have parts for 65 to 73. Did I miss something? What did I miss there? Were you sharing something, Karsten? Did I miss a comment somewhere? I don't know. Rascal, did you get the new hatch yet? No. And I don't know if you saw the last video I talked, or one of the videos I talked about the hats that I did have made. So this is, this was a hat that I had made. I don't know if you saw these or not. But I had these made, and then once I received them, I realized that this is not a structured hat. I picked the wrong one. And anyway, so I don't know if that's what you're commenting, if you've seen this one or not. But if you haven't, if everybody hasn't seen these, I do have some new hats coming, and these are. I'm having this garage made smaller, just a little bit, so that it comes down further on the hat. Because if I use this one, it kind of makes the Joe Daddies go way up high. So I want to bring that down just a little bit. But I do have other hats coming, or I will have hats coming once we get final design approval. So it's in the works. But good question. Thank you for asking. Let's see. Jerry, you can use an aerosol cleaner, which I use for brake lines and other tube cleaning needs. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I'm just trying to come up with different ideas. But because you got to be able to dissolve that paint. That's the thing. You got to get that paint to break free from inside the tube. It should flow out just fine, but you just never really know. I don't like the way that tube looks like. This tube has a kink in it from being packaged a little snug. Anyway, let's see, where are we at on time? 1:18. Okay. Let's see. Jerry, what I do on the East Blade rust sealer is to plan the job so I can use several cans. Therefore, I have tubes left over. You can use air to blow out the tube. It works okay, but not ideal. Yeah, I agree. It's nice to have plan for such things, like you're saying. But it's sometimes you just want to talk your way through some stuff too. That way you have some input from people like you. Helps a lot. I talked on the last video. Well, let's see who we got here. Mike Oletta. Hi Barry, first time commenting on your live stream or during your live stream. Anyway, turning a rattle can upside down after spraying will clean out the nozzle. It may work for this frame spray also. That's a good point. That is a good point. That may work. It's worth a shot. Good comment. Thank you. On Monday night I talked about some things, and I talked about some stuff going on with my friend and his son, and the tragedy of losing his son. And it looks like there's going to be I guess a service, a memorial up in somewhere in Kentucky on Saturday. So I think I'm going to make a road trip and go up there for that. And so at least I can do for him. And I mean, there's really not much you can say or do to comfort somebody in those situations. There's nothing you can. I mean, what do you do? What do you do? You can just basically just be there for them, right? So that's going to be the plan. Drive on up there and make myself known. It's the best I can do. But anyway, let's see. I'm thinking if there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't. My mind isn't really pulling out anything in particular. So maybe it's time to pull a plug and end this particular broadcast. I may still try to make a video for this weekend. I'm not sure just yet. If I do, it would probably be on using this Eastwood stuff. Otherwise, I don't know what else I have in mind. I do want to make sure that I've got something inside of that frame rail, and I think this is going to work perfect for that. And even with the natural curve of the Teflon, that's going to help me get around the corner to spray that material. So that's going to be fine. Yep. You're right, VW. Jorge is checking in. Just got here. Man, been missing out. Been covering some ground, talking about things, but I'm glad you're here. Let's see, Brian, what do you use for cleaning your sprayers, Barry? The lacquer thinner dries so fast. I've tried acetone and it seems to work fine. Well, I use lacquer thinner. That's pretty much all I've ever used. I did notice when I was at the paint store a couple days ago that they have gun wash, some sort of gun wash material. It's supposed to break down like dried paint inside of a gun. I have not tried that. I know when we had the body shop, we actually had, what's the company? There's a company that, Safety Clean. They had a 30-gallon drum and like plug-in system where you could like plug up the gun, close the lid, and it would process for a period of time to wash out everything that's inside the gun. I would love to have a setup like that, but can't afford it. So everything I do is pretty much lacquer thinner. And I haven't tried acetone, but I'm a little more hesitant with acetone because I know anything with tone on the end of it, methyl ethyl ketone or MEK, acetone, those are really bad for you. And I know the rest all the chemicals are bad, but anything with tone on the end of it is really bad. So by any means, if you are using acetone, make sure you're wearing gloves and all that stuff, and even a respirator. That's really bad. Just saying. Jerry, I do have a question. How does a windshield fit to the dash of a 66 Mustang? How does it fit to the dash? That's a good question. Because the dash, I don't have one. I don't have anything to show you. I don't have any images to share with you on that. That's a good question. I know the 65 Mustang that I have a new dash pad, but I have not, it's not in the car. It's in a box. So I have not even looked at that. So if anybody has any answers for Jerry, how does a windshield fit to the dash of a 66 Mustang? I'm just assuming that it comes up and gets underneath the gasket. I'm assuming. I would think it would go underneath. It has to go underneath it, the edge of the gasket, or maybe butts up against the gasket. That's my only thought. But I have not looked at that. So let's see. Okay. Anyway, so it's an hour and 25 minutes, and I think I'm just gonna call it a day. I've still got to finish locating my new shelf unit, pull stuff off the wall over there, get stuff off the bench. I've got a lot of cleaning up and stuff to do that, make it look good. Oh wait, here. So Jerry is saying, sorry, the seal, the windshield seal, which covers the weld joint. Oh, okay. I don't know. Lower, nobody 66 saying the lower windshield trim covers it. Randy Owl is saying 66 has 2 pieces of trim that go over the dash vents to cover the area. Okay. All right. Well, if that's what you mean. So anyway, thumbs up from Rick Stevenson. Thank you, Rick. Michael Williams, thanks for spending time with us. I'm glad to spend time with you guys and gals, women. No offense. Sorry. But if you would throw a thumbs up on this video, as always, leave comments, all that sort of thing. Everything helps with the growth of the channel. Still people are using Amazon, which is awesome. Appreciate that. Same with Patreon. Anybody that is on there, I genuinely appreciate that. And the sales of shirts are doing pretty good. It looks like people are seeing the links now and starting. And there's other. I should point this out if you haven't looked, and if you're interested, I've got these shirts, the other shirts, mugs, but there's also like posters. I think there's even blankets available. Like if you wanted a blanket of the Brooklyn Pony or the Jade or whatever, or not Jade, but the Joe Daddies. But there's like wall hanging things and stuff like that. Hey, whatever. Mugs. It's all cool. It's all good. So anyway. So Jerry's saying no in the door area. I'm not sure how to answer what the answer is for you, Jerry. Because I know there's isn't there like a trim piece? I don't know. We'll have to talk about it sometime. Maybe on Monday we can talk about it, Jerry. Try to figure things out. Yeah, the A-pillar is just painted. That's right. On the 65 and 6, it's just painted. So yes. And I think there's a covering on the 7 and 8. I think. I want to say there is. Anyway. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to call it a day. And like I said, I've got things to do. And I appreciate all of you being here and interacting and listening and making comments and all those things. It's all good. And I'll be back on Monday at 7 o'clock. And we'll talk about some more stuff. See what's going on. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See you.